got.
You are now watching Xpert's Corner on the DML Network.
Welcome into the DML Network and another episode of my show, Xpert's Corner. And you see them on the screen. I got two of my favorite guys in this Madden community. Mr. SIMFBALL, what's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. You reached out, and I, of course, got to do what we can to get on the show, man. I didn't want to leave you hanging, man. It's all good tonight.
Of course, you see a new father in the building. Another baby came on the way. I saw him on the Periscope screen holding the baby after he just ate. It's Smitty in the building. What's going on, Smitty?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Blessed, man. Glad to be on here. Got another one on the way that'll be here in October.
Oh my goodness, dude.
Yeah.
You know what?
Oh yeah.
Another one.
I thought I told you.
Oh my!
I thought I did. Okay, yeah.
Breaking news here on Xpert's Corner. Smitty didn't have enough on his plate. He got another one coming.
Good God.
Oh,
you and AZ with the 3. I'm still holding on with 1. We thinking about another one though.
Yeah.
I'm done. So. I got my 3. I'm good. We working on retirement at this point. So I tweeted out today that Xpert Corner was coming back today, and it was going to be a Sim Standard kind of podcast. I got 2 of the 3 guys here. Of course, Azur not in the building, but shout out to Azur. Always doing great things in the community. Still salty about the loss I took to him when Zeke got hurt in Madden 19. He got me. But we got some things to talk about as Madden 20 is getting closer and closer every single day. We are around the corner from EA Play, June 7th, 8th, and 9th, where we'll get the chance to talk to some of the developers. But I wanted to talk to these 2 guys because you know, they heartbeat is in this Madden community. So we're going to talk first. The first podcast that came out with EA, they talked about some additions in the game, QB1, and a couple franchise updates. So I want to get first your opinion. Long shot is gone, and now QB1 is in. What is your initial thought on the QB1 game mode that you're going to be able to take this guy with certain colleges here in Madden 20 kind of build his career? I'm going to go to you first, Sim. What'd you think about that when they announced it?
Oh, man. Well, I'm going to take a different approach of what I thought about it. It pissed me off immediately, and I'm going to explain why. Some people that watch us will know this story. Basically, when they introduced Long Shot, this was exactly what I told them they should have done instead, like verbatim. Right there in front of, Rex was there in front of some of the other execs. I was like, you're making a huge mistake. Why introduce Long Shot instead of doing at least some version of the journey, which, FIFA had? Because that's what really got the suits up in arms about introducing this Long Shot thing. So then, again, seeing that they brought it back, I'm thinking it's going to be Superstar. And honestly, to me, it appears to just be a more playable long shot, pretty much, because you're still locked into this quarterback.
Yep.
There's no other position that you can, follow the narrative. It's not like Superstar back in the day.
Right.
And I understand this is the way. I'm upset, but at the same time, from a development standpoint, I will say this. I guess that's the easiest way to bring it back is to use the resources that you already have in the game, because we'll see. But it definitely, to me, looks like everything that we saw on Long Shot is going to be in QB1. Like the combine and all that stuff. To me, it looks like they're just ripping out of those resources, make it more playable, and keep the narrative.
Yeah, and that's the frustrating part. I think if it's the base and they can build on top of it and bring, kind of that journey back, and, take your player and not just the QB, but so many different positions and hopefully build on top of it. Unlike, I really think Long Shot would just was a dead end. There wasn't a lot of, growth potential in that. And I think QB1 has some growth potential. But how many guys are really excited about, are going to say, hey, I'm going to spend the $100 for the Ultimate Edition that I can get because QB1 is on it? How many guys are really excited about that part of it? And I don't know, nobody I've talked to has said, hey man, I'm getting Madden because QB1 is in the game. That's I can't wait to be a Clemson quarterback. But Smitty, what's your thoughts on the QB1?
Now, I mean, it's, I don't care for it. I mean, I look at it from this approach, like how when Superstar Mode and Road to Glory came out back in the day, right? It wasn't a cart. This is kind of like a cart before the horse approach, because the gameplay was on point in NCAA. The gameplay was on point because Superstar Mode didn't come about till like Madden 06. Yeah. Madden 04, 05, arguably two of the best Maddens ever to come out, right?
Coach.
Gameplay and mode wise, you know what I'm saying? So it's like when you do that and then you add that layer on top, Superstar Mode, it's going to be a lot more well received, and people will be like, oh snap, this is intriguing. Let me get this game because of this. It's not going to happen when all the issues that we've been having this generation and even past, Gen 3, basically, right. And now you're coming with this on the front end. You're going to have people that want it just because the novelty of it being there, like, somewhat resembling it, and it's coming back. So they're going to jump on it, but it's not going to have nearly as much impact as it did yesteryear. You know what I'm saying?
Your hardcore Madden gamer is not excited about QB1.
Yeah.
Your franchise guy's not excited about it. Your diehard MUT guy's not excited about it. Your MCS guys, they're not excited about QB1. This is that, 11, 12, 13-year-old kid, 9-year-old kid that gets the game when it comes out, and he gets to be the star quarterback. That's who that is catering to. And it was really weird that EA would start with this as the first podcast. After the year we've had in Madden 19.
Marketing.
Why would we start with QB1?
Well,
go take it away, Smitty.
I will say this, though. It's not a bad thing that they did it, because essentially they did two things. They introduced a new feature, and they took an element of the game that has been overshadowed for a mighty long time in franchise, and they put them both on the front end when it came to introducing them, which that was what really caught my attention. I'm like, oh, okay, well, as long as that QB1 thing doesn't override everything talked about in franchise mode, which it didn't, then I'm cool with it. It's like they meshed them together.
Right.
So in that sense, I'm cool with it. You know what I'm saying? From that standpoint, because also this standpoint too, they're both entry level. Like these aspects that they're bringing in, like they're trying to expand the franchise mode in a sense, in a way that we haven't seen done in many years, because we're all used to it being neglected now. We're not talking about PS2 days and all that stuff. So when you look at the QB1 thing, that's still it's more of a base entry kind of ease into, because everybody on the front end we know is centered on the quarterback with playing the national title game, getting all the cinematic stuff.
Right.
But you can also play other positions, like they said in the Game Informer article. They didn't get into detail with it, which I hope by EA Play we may get another article, stream, something that dives more deep into it. But you can play other positions too. It's just that you don't get all the cinematic stuff. It's not going to be as flashy. It's just going to be more of a streamlined experience.
Right.
From how the article sounded. So,
and I'm glad you brought up franchise mode, because you got three guys here that's the most important thing to us is the franchise mode. It's what has driven us in Madden, with our communities that we have. I know here in the Dynasty, this will be my 5th Madden with the Dynasty. And that's exactly what we're looking for, that layer on top of layer, continue to build that onion for us, that just full immersion in our franchise mode. And it's really been neglected the past several Maddens. And now I'm starting to see, and I know that there is a focus. I can see that there's a focus this year more than it was last year, when we started to get news for Madden 19. I can see that there's some franchise things that they've talked about in the very first 2 streams. And even Clint talked about it on Twitter today, that there's more franchise news coming that we have not got it all out. I know Shop reached out to him and he kind of responded. And it's good to see Clint active right now on Twitter, trying to answer as many questions as he can, because there are so many when we get all the news for Madden. But let's talk some things in franchise that were on that first stream. Rating spread. So it was weird to hear some of these things, that now a 90 rated player and an 89 rated player are going to be a lot farther apart than they have been in the past. You're going to see some players starting on your roster that are going to be a 50 to 60 player on your roster versus these super teams that we've seen we built. Now, of course, you're going to have leagues that are going to turn XP all the way up. And in year 3, you're going to have 99s across the board. And that's just how they play. But the true sim guys, us true sim guys, we're playing basic XP. And so you have to find a way to build your team. How important is that, Sim, that you have a guy that's a 90 that you have to make that decision on in free agency, or keeping him on your roster when he's a 60, a 65, and maybe take that risk in free agency or in a draft to get a guy to replace him that maybe is not on that same level? How important is that rating spread? And was it important to you as a sim guy, as a franchise guy, to hear them say that they're going to kind of spread that back out?
Yes, man, because I like the fact that now you kind of don't know, you have to kind of build this guy and stick with him and see if you can develop him into a higher trait, and maybe he comes with some abilities, which we've always talked about in the past. Like, ratings shouldn't be the final say. Right. And of course you want your superstars to stand out. So to me, I love the fact that you're allowing more time for these guys to grow. But again, years ago, Smitty knows this, we talked to the devs about the FBG rosters years ago, about the lower ratings, lower overalls, and we kind of got laughed out of the building. So now all of a sudden, I meant to say this last night and I forgot. Now all of a sudden, you come to find out that is a good approach. So to me, it's very important, and for this as well. And I don't know if this is the case, but it's just my gut feeling. At least I hope. It also goes to show, and I kind of said it already, but it also goes to show that they can allow these abilities, I'm hoping, to supersede the ratings. Like, a guy might not necessarily have to be a 90, but he's a 70. He has this particular ability. He can still be effective for you. Right. You don't have to feel like you have the top guy in the league, but he does this thing specifically well. He has the ability to do it, and you can still use him. So that's why, to me, man, I think that the spread is, because let's face it, on your real football team, how many superstars do we have on our roster? Right. You got guys like Rosie Nix, a fullback, that can play on my team any given day. You see what I mean? But in Madden, I'm sure he'll be rated overall low, but this dude is a bruiser when it comes to blocking, so I'm hoping they're going to do more of that.
Yeah, we'll get into those abilities here in the next segment. But Smitty, so the other thing that they talked about, and it was very quick in the blog, and I don't know if they talked a bunch about it on the stream, but they talked about contract updates. And if you are a hardcore franchise guy, contract updates is so important. And they said they've taken a look at it to make sure it kind of more matches what the NFL standard is. That is, it's more authentic. And as a full immersion franchise, when you can't backload a contract, or you can't renegotiate a contract with a player, and kind of work your cap space, you're kind of set into a guy when it's time for him to re-sign, that you basically got to pay him a certain amount each year. He gets a signing bonus, and that's it. You're done with that contract. It's over. And that's not true sim football, because Travis Frederick for the Dallas Cowboys is restructuring his contract so Ezekiel Elliott can get paid. That's a normal part of an NFL roster every single day. Yeah. Guys are going to take a pay cut. Tom Brady while he may be the greatest quarterback in the NFL, he's taking a pay cut so they can pay other guys on the roster. They're going to backload his contract with incentives, or they're going to up his signing bonus and take away from his regular check. And it's just important that they put that. Now, are we going to see that in Madden 20, a full immersion contract system for a franchise, or do you think it's going to take time before we see that fully bloom here with EA Sports and their new Madden game?
I think that's more of like Madden 21, where they honestly have it all the way out. I would honestly see, that's kind of it's a potentially loaded question because there's a lot that we don't know clearly yet. Yeah. There's a lot of moving parts to it because, I mean, you got, how does free agency work? What about player morale? What about, like I said, with having the real contracts, that's the even question about the front and the back loading and stuff like that. Is that a intermediate function within front and back loading contracts? Will you have players come up? See, I think that's a bit more sophisticated in that sense of saying players want to come up and say, you know what, player morale base. Hey, I love, like, let's say that player has a great feeling with the team, so I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure that we are able to keep this team intact, and I want to stay here and bring in whomever. Okay, and then he's willing to restructure, and then you have a restructure option. Now, with this, I think they said it's basically being live service with franchise mode, so we could potentially see them get that kind of MUT update kind of deal, because we've seen with MUT over the years, they'll add modes and stuff like that into MUT. So we could see a functionality like that being expanded upon. Hey guys, Untitled update, we did this. So now when it comes to contracts, like, so we'll have to wait and see. But I mean, the potential, it's like I'm more like 25% yes, they'll have that in there, but 75% that's more of a Madden 21 thing. So, all right.
Yeah. I don't really want to talk about the Pro Bowl. I think it's
cute.
I like that sim. It's cute that they put it in there, and there will be guys in franchise that are excited about it that don't make the playoffs and can play in the Pro Bowl. That's neat, but I don't want to talk on that. But let's talk one more thing here on this first blog that they put out. They at the very end, they talked about gameplay effects updated, and they talked about quarterback throw power overhauls as well as trajectories. And you both know that trajectories are so important in Madden. You throw the 25-yard post down the field, and the linebacker that's 4 yards past the line of scrimmage is jumping up and taking this ball out of the air like the ball was on a rope 25 yards down the field. And they did say that May 23rd, when the gameplay stream comes out, they're going to talk more about this. But Sim, is this something that has to be in Madden 20 for EA to be successful?
It has to be. I mean, ball placement, ball trajectories. I mean, come on, man. I mean, that solves a lot of the lurking stuff, which they touched on in the latest blog and latest stream. You have to be able to. Normal quarterbacks in the NFL don't throw it on a beeline right to the defender. It just doesn't happen. I mean, maybe sometimes, but it has to be. And, I won't even be long here. I'll just say this. I just want to know, are passes in general going to have more air, like it says in the thing? Because I keep asking the question, and even Clint replied to me today, and nobody seems to answer it. If I'm not mistaken, in Madden 19, a regular button press and release is supposed to be a normal pass.
Correct.
Double tap is the touch. Tap touch is a lob. Hold it down as a bullet.
Hold it down as a bullet. Yes, sir.
But now they keep saying that the double tap will be the pump fake. So I said, okay, well, what's this medium pass that y'all are talking about? So are we unable to control the touch pass? And the question is, are you just saying now a regular pass is automatically a touch pass? Because they said press and release.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a different question. But yeah, man, it has to, being able to place the ball where you want it to go and having the right trajectory and arc, especially with specific quarterbacks, has to be in Madden 20. It has to be.
On day one.
Day one.
Right. Already in the game. It should already be there. It's not something they should have to add. Right. All right, Smitty, go ahead. I know you had something to say.
Yeah, no, I've been harping on that thing for years, man. With Sim knows this, you know what I'm saying, and feedbacking and all that, betas and in the studio and everything about passing and all that. But I did see the tweet that Sim was referencing to, and I see what they're saying. See, it makes me think of APF. It has like I'm not saying, oh man, it has to be it, but it's like it makes me think of APF because, like what Sim is saying, if the double tap is the fake, then you basically have 3 pass options.
Right.
Outside of using a high and low modifier,
right,
you only have 3 pass options. You have tap for the lob, press for your medium throw, and then hold for the bullet. That's what they're basically saying.
Right.
So when you're talking about throwing it over defenders and everything, and you just have more of general passes here, and plus when they did the breakdown of Pat Mahomes and his abilities, a lot of it was saying he's able to do this throw, he's able to make these throws without error, but it excludes a high and low.
Right.
So my question to all of that is, well, if he's able to do all that, so are you saying that it's either saying that on very short range throws he's able to do that, or you have the trajectories improved upon, where they're going to be a lot more authentic trajectories. Because real talk, there's only 2 quarterbacks that I've seen that will throw the ball relatively that low, and even then they don't throw the ball that low unless it's a clear line of sight. That's Brett Favre and Dan Marino. Those dudes cracked ribs, broke hands because they threw the ball that hard and fast.
Right.
Madden, like what we already know, they beeline every pass dang near, regardless, and there's no sense that there's a defender right there or anything like that. So, I seriously hope that there's authentic pass trajectories in the game, because those passes are not truly authentic to what you see happen in a football game on any level. So
the answer is already there too. I mean, my opinion would be we already have the pass leading, right? Left, right. Up is to, push it downfield.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Why can't it be sensitive where if you press up slightly, it raises the ball? It doesn't have to be. Maybe they could do, if you hold up, you're leading them upfield. But if you just press up on the throw, you're touching it. It's just a lightly elevated.
Yeah.
That's it right there. I mean, I know you got the high and low, but for that intermediate pass, it still sounds like either the trajectory will supplement it for you, so when you hit the button, it knows to put a little air on it, or there's some other control. Because that one pass type is gone. But again, like Smitty caught it, but nobody, even Clint, he didn't seem to catch what I was saying. I was like, no, I'm not disagreeing, but I'm just saying that Madden 19 right now, if you press and release, that's a standard pass. So what's happening to one of those pass types?
One has gone away because we've added a pump fake for your quarterback. So
exactly,
it'll be exciting to see what they do. And I'm with both of y'all. If pass trajectory is not changed in Madden 20, we're going to have the same issues that we've had for the past 3 Maddens now. And we're going to have superstar linebackers that are just yanking things out the sky like they're Superman, leaping buildings with a single bound. It's craziness right now. All right, so let's get into the next segment and let's talk a little bit about these superstar abilities and these X factors. And it was good to see Clint on the stream to talk about some of these things. And let's talk about some of the superstar abilities. So we saw Patrick Mahomes. What is your thoughts on things like the blind throw, the no-look pass? Is that really football? I mean, I understand that Patrick Mahomes did it a couple times as a Kansas City Chief, and everybody that you talk to will say that is a horrible pass because you have no clue where it's going.
Yeah.
If that pass gets intercepted, nobody's talking about the no-look pass by Patrick Mahomes. But now it's an ability in Madden 20. And then you're going to combine that with he'll have bazooka ability to be able to throw this ball 80 yards down the field. Now, is Patrick Mahomes throwing a football in the real NFL 80 yards down the field in an NFL game with a helmet on, with shoulder pads on, and two big, huge defensive ends screaming off of the end at him? Is he throwing this ball 80 yards down the field? Or is that a gimmick we saw him do in his pro day or in a practice somewhere in shorts and a tank top trying to impress people for a Twitter video, and now we're going to see it in Madden 20? My question is, Sim, are all the abilities bad, or do you think like they just went overboard with some of these things, trying to just cram things into the new Madden 20, kind of make it seem like it's new?
It depends. And I'll be short and sweet. The fact that all of these can be counted is a plus. That's the first thing I needed to know. You can knock them out of the zone, even the 80-yard one. And I'm glad Clint said that on air. That should be super rare.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be a problem. But my biggest thing is it sounds like they are tailoring these abilities to the players who've actually done this. Because it seems as if Mahomes, they're saying he's going to be the only one that can do that no look. And see, that made me feel good a little bit. I was like, okay, so you're not telling me that the next guy can do it. It's only him. He's a cover boy. He's done it before. You got to throw a little gimmick in there. I get it. But if for us hardcore guys, if you're telling me that only Mahomes can do it and only in a specific situation, I don't have a big deal with it. I do agree with you though. Like, come on, man. I mean, I don't even think he knew when he did it that it was really going to work like that. You know, obviously he practiced it, but there's no way I'm going to throw this no-look pass in football.
Right.
So if it's only Mahomes and it's rare time, I can knock him out of his zone and all of that, I'm cool. I just don't want to see some of these abilities being piled on to other players later. Then that's when, to me, it's going to be a problem. But that's, come on. How many people are going to do that?
Clint talked that there was, ways to combat the ability. There's always a counter ability. And some of the abilities I really did like. You got the slot machine. So we have wide receivers in the NFL. You got an Edelman, you got a Cole Beasley, you got a Randall Cobb, guys that are great slot wide receivers. And if they're a slot wide receiver that has this ability, when he's lined up in the slot, he's going to get that separation more times than he wouldn't.
Love it.
He's going to have a better, catching ability versus contact on short routes. I mean, you got guys that have that ability right now in the NFL, and that's real life abilities that I'd like to see in Madden. It's the other things that, the bazooka, the no-look pass, stuff like that, I think just starts to get gimmicky. Yeah. You're going to have Tom Brady's going to have protected ability. He's going to get more time in the pocket. That's a natural ability. Tom Brady knows how to work the pocket, step in, slide to his left and right, and get those things. Aaron Donald, they talked about, is going to have the fearmonger ability. He's going to get more pressure on quarterbacks. Yes, if you don't double team Aaron Donald in the real life NFL, he's going to torch your offensive line. There's really not many offensive linemen that are going to block Aaron Donald one-on-one. And then they even talked about Brady will have the clutch ability. I love all those things. Mm-hmm. Is this the groundwork for us to see more and more things being added to Madden that can make this game even more realistic, and they're starting to listen to the community when we talk about some of these things. Smitty?
Yeah, most definitely. Like these, it's necessary because like every other game out here has them. They have abilities, archetypes, whatever the label is. They have them to distinguish the differences between players, whether they're great, whether they're a star, superstar, average player, whatever. I mean, you got players in NBA 2K that are hovering right at 70 overall and they got badges. You see what I'm saying? So it's like you have to add that to be like, well, even though they may not be the highest rated player, they still have this ability on some level. And this makes them a little bit more unique versus the typical guy around the same rating area. When it comes to real life, that's how you evaluate players. Like, oh man, he's doing something a little bit special compared to that guy over there. That's what we need. And I mean, see the thing, and about the Mahomes thing, the 80-yard pass. See, even though he said in a blog, I think he said elite quarterbacks, when it comes to throwing deep passes, they'll be able to throw deep bombs with a quicker animation than an average quarterback. Yeah. That's the thing that I'm curious about, is when it comes to throwing that pass, what kind of animation you're going to get. Because, I'll say this, because even in APF, I can give the abilities, laser accuracy, and I forgot what the deep bombing badge is.
Wasn't it rocket arm or something?
Rocket arm, yeah, there it is, rocket arm, right? I can have that, and I could throw an 80-yard pass, but it's gonna be a long-winded animation that triggers, and because they gotta wind it all the way back, step back, and then they go ahead and they just step in and launch it all the way out. Like they'll get it there, but that's what I'm saying. Is it an animation where it's like you got to make sure, like it's got to be either a flea flicker or it's got to be you got to have some real protection and be able to truly step up into that pocket and let that thing fly. It can't just be at a whim. Choo, I'm just throwing a dart. Like you still need to put the realistic football parameters around it. So you can't be off your back foot and then just zip a 80-yard laser. You got
running 20 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. See, like no, you
all
gotta
that
drop,
stuff.
You gotta drop. If you drop back, which some quarterbacks do on them deep passes, they'll drop back dang near close to 20 yards, but they step up 10 and they let that thing fly. It's got to be one of those instances where you have to do the literal football things in order to make it work right, or else, even though you're in your X factor moment, you're giving the defense a better chance to stop you because you didn't use it the right way. You see what I'm saying? Right. So that's why I'm looking at it. Like, yeah, it could be cheesy because we all know how it is with Madden, but that's their stigma. But as long as they make it work right in the football confine and keep that true, right? They got potential to build on something good going forward. Because what I would like to see next is see these abilities be in tiers: gold, silver, bronze, all that. They could take their MUT colors that they use for MUT and put it in franchise, all them different colors, and tier everything out. So,
and real quick, man,
asking for a lot.
One other quick thing just to add to the abilities, why you got to have them, and what we were talking about, the ratings comparison. It's like using basketball. You need to be able to create Patrick Beverly. That dude is a dog, defensively. But his ratings, I'm sure in 2K, they're not through the roof. Right. But I'm pretty sure he has the badge, and you can still use them. So that's where I want to see Madden get to. So hopefully this is the introduction of that.
Yeah, and they talked a little bit about that with Xavier Howard for the Dolphins. While he's not going to have an X factor, he is going to be the superstar on the Dolphins team because he is that type of player. And they also talked that every team will have at least one, either a superstar ability or X factor at launch. Now, of course, in franchise mode, you may draft a guy that has that ability, but you won't know that he has the ability until later on in the season.
Love it.
And so that was another great thing that I really liked on the stream was you may draft a superstar guy, and Clint said it's going to be important that you play the preseason. You figure out what this guy's ability is, because you may not find it till week 4, week 5, week 6 this guy is that slot wide receiver, or this guy is that, that fear monger on the defensive line. Is that the immersion that we're finally starting to see? Are those the things that excite you, Sim, when you start reading some of these things for the next Madden? Even after the Madden 19 that we've had.
Yes, because this stuff, we still need to see how far it's going and still kind of temper our expectations, knowing that this is the first year that they are recommitting the franchise. But we've been saying for years, we want guys to be able to progress off of performance.
Right.
Whether that's preseason, or I even want practice to be more important. I don't want to go off on that tangent because there's so many areas we can go on that. But finally, this is what I'm saying, man. So many guys, even in our league, we'll skip preseason. Nah.
Yeah.
Now you have to play, and I'm hoping it's a bonus. I'm hoping preseason actually counts towards the length of time. So let's say, I could be asking for a little much here, but let's say you miss preseason.
Right.
Now his clock is set at 0 instead of already set at 4, or whatever the metric is. I would love to see that. So then guys who go through the preseason will be, more rewarded. You'll find out sooner who you have and who you drafted. But yeah, man, this is what we've been asking for. The immersion of just think of how we're going to feel when we be like, oh, I got an X factor. I didn't even know he was a, come on.
Exactly.
Man.
Exactly.
Love
All right, one last thing on this blog. They touched on lurking linebackers. And this was my favorite thing for this podcast that Clint was on, and the blog that they talked about. So right now, there's going to be a limit on how your linebacker can play in the middle of the field. Right now in Madden 19, I can cover 4 routes with a middle linebacker.
Absolutely.
I can take your drag away, take away your curl, the slant underneath, and then I'm going to go and I'm going to eliminate your post route before you have a chance to throw it. And I don't even have to be close to your wide receiver. I just have to be in the vicinity, and my guy's going to jump. Miles Jack with my Jaguars is just a monster at taking away every single route in the middle. And now you're going to have the same animation where he may go up to get this football, but Smitty, he's going to have a bad animation where he's just not going to be able to reach it. And this ball is going to go over his head, like we see in the real NFL, where linebackers are not in the right position and they don't get to the spot they need to be at to make a play on defense. If this is true in Madden 20 and we see linebacker lurking toned down. Now, there's still going to be that elite linebacker that's going to be able to do some crazy things. You're going to have a Miles Jack that can turn around and run underneath the post because he has that ability.
Devin Bush.
Well, I know Sim hopes Devin Bush has that ability. He's going to need that defense there in Pittsburgh.
Oh, man.
But we're not going to see maybe a Luke Kuechly, who's lost a step, be able to go get that. Or we're not going to be able to see a Sean Lee in Dallas be able to run up underneath that post. If it's true and they actually tempered down linebacker lurk and their ability to jump up, how much does that change guys playing this football game, and how much does that change the skill gap in Madden 20?
That changes it dramatically, but you got to see how the passing is. That's that whole thing that I read there. Automatically, I'm like, the question just kept coming up. Okay, but how's the passing? What's going on with the passing arcs? But if you take control of the middle linebacker, you're gonna get an animation that triggers, but you're gonna be out of reach for it. But how's the passing trajectories though? How are the arcs? What are the speeds? What's the velocities like? How's it all going to come together? All of that stuff has to come to fruition. And see, that's the 23rd is going to be so epically huge for this game. Like, I mean, we got to see some stuff, but I personally I like it, but see, all the air is going to come right out the balloon if we're working with just moderate changes to the passing. Like, it has to be like a revamp, a rewrite, whatever, of the passing game and the control and the arcs and all that stuff. It really needs to be there, because it's like those two pieces go hand in hand. Yeah. Because you're talking about how somebody has to play defensively versus how I have to play offensively. You talked about getting different, the throw power and all that stuff in different trajectories, so to speak, in theory, basically. But we got to see it. But it sounds good. Don't get me wrong. All of it sounds right. Like, yeah, you have select linebackers that are truly athletic and can get up there and do the thing. Cool. I'm no problem there. But the problem that not the problem, but I will say, but that is the passing arcs that I have the question with. I'm fine with it. I want to see DBs. I want to see linebackers struggle covering. And see, this is the other thing too. RPM was good when the game first came out, and it basically was nerfed out the game. It can't go anywhere in this game. It has to be better. It needs to be better, and it cannot regress via title update like they did with 19. That's why that game is unplayable to me right now. You know what I'm saying? I give you props, Xpert. I give you props, Sim, just playing in, y'all playing in leagues and y'all keeping it going. I can't, because the game just ain't. It's unplayable.
I got brothers in that league. I couldn't stop playing. Like, there's a brotherhood in the Dynasty. Like,
that's the only thing that keeps me going, man.
It's more than football. Man. It's those guys that are checking up on my wife and kids, and they worried about so many other things besides football, and the bonds that we have built in a franchise mode. That's what keeps me going. Listen, if I was a MUT guy, or if I was in a league that just didn't matter, I'd have been done a long time ago. But those guys, plus Xpert trying to build this Facebook community over here, and so we got to play some Madden every once in a while, so we're doing real well. But I'm glad Smitty brought up RPM, because that's going to lead us into the last segment of the show, and that's the May 23rd blog that we're going to talk about. And then, just real quick, Sim, is real player motion dead in Madden? Because Smitty touched on it in Madden 19 when the game came out. The case, real player motion was a very good piece of the puzzle, and then it slowly was eliminated to the point now where we're back to the old Madden ways. So in Madden 20, do they bring real player motion back, or do they just kill it?
I'm hoping they bring it back, because for obvious reasons, but you still see it at times in Madden 19. It's almost like in the right situation, you'll see it play out. Like, if you look at a replay and you look at your DB, sometimes you will see it. I got clips now, and it looks almost perfect. But then there's these other times where here comes the warping, here comes the pops, or as soon as the animation triggers and everything else goes awry. So I kind of feel like, because even in this article, I know it's a ton of stuff that we didn't cover that most people have probably read the article, but they talk about animation quality. That was one of the main pieces of, I guess, the selling points of RPM was animation quality. So it sounds like to me, in order to get that, you have to have some sense of RPM. Now, maybe it's not the exact technology that they're using in 19 that's RPM. Right. Maybe it's something else. Maybe they had a breakthrough, and then the FIFA people told them, "Hey, no, do it like this." I don't know. But whatever it is, it has to be real player movement, real player motion. Yeah. Because here's another thing, by the way. I almost forgot this. Remember last year, Clint said that RPM would allow them to do more things like signature animation?
Absolutely.
So that makes me think that it's the same technology. EA Tiburon doesn't seem to be the company that, or the division of EA Sports that would completely scrap something.
Right.
As far as their animation and then come right back with something new. It's got to be a more polished version of RPM. At least I hope it is.
I hope so. All right, Smitty. 523. When EA loads the Twitch stream up and they talk gameplay, what is the first thing that they need to talk about for Madden 20 for you to get excited about it? Now, listen, Smitty, today I went back and watched our interview from EA Play last year as we are standing there waiting to get inside the venue. And you and I were very, very excited for Madden 19. I mean, there wasn't a negative bone in the body at that point. Here we sit almost a full year later. What has to be on that Twitch stream for you to get excited again? Because right now, the three of us are kind of holding back. We don't want to go all in for Madden 20 yet because we don't want to get our dreams and hopes crushed again. So we're kind of being reserved about it right now. What do they have to fix for you to get back excited for Madden 20?
Passing, player movement, zone coverage, man coverage, and trenches. They do that. Oh, and how seamless they can get wideout DB interaction play. Yep. They do that, we're good. But the key things, like I would say the top, like most urgent is player movement and the passing. Those two key items. They do those two, then 1A, 1B, all that stuff, the other things.
Yeah.
Because that passing has been such a problem. Like it's upsetting to look at. It's upsetting to keep pulling up old, outdated Maddens and be like, oh yeah, the pass trajectories that happen in football that should be in this game are done in 2006. 2 generations ago, but we don't have it today. And it's like, you can't have all this work done in the game from what you put out so far and then to not have passing controls that are adequate, like legitimately adequate in the game now. That's why I'm seriously hoping that the game is kind of along the lines of an APF-esque in a sense, because of like what Sim said. Wait a minute, where's the double tap? Why is this gone? Why is that gone? If you're generalizing pass controls like that, then and you're talking about linebacker play the way you're talking about it,
right?
Then I'm gonna need the passing with the arcs and all that stuff to fall in line with it. So that's why I'm like, it just kind of seems like if we use logic and common sense, that's what they're going to, but is that what's going to actually happen?
Yeah.
So that's what I got to see when this sucker first fires up. As soon as they talk about that,
I'm gonna be early.
That's it. Yeah, like if that ain't hitting, I'm like, well, y'all gonna see me playing NBA 2K20 for the year. Now that's it. So.
All right, Sim. Same question. What do they have to introduce gameplay wise on May 23rd?
Everything that Smitty said. But to sum that up, I'm going to read this very small passage in this blog about animation polish on blocking, catching, and tackling. They said a significant amount of work has gone towards improving transitions into and out of interactions, focusing on more seamless transitions while making the mechanics more responsive and user-friendly. That's it. That covers everything that Smitty said. Because even with the linebacker lurking and all that stuff, my number one question is, okay, does the dice roll override that? Are we still going to get the warp when the vicinity is close and it's the 2-man animation? I need to see all of that stuff more independent. And Make it seamless, like you all said. Seamless transitions into and out of interactions. To me, interactions controls everything. Trenches,
absolutely.
DB and wide out, one-on-one tackling, gang tackling. I need to see that stuff. To me, has to jump off the table. We have to look at the stream and they show an example and we all like, whoa, it don't look like that in 19.
Yeah.
That's what I need to see.
All right, one last question. We'll get out of here. Franchise mode. What do they have to put in franchise mode, Sim, for you to finally say we're going to start seeing some improvements? They're actually going to start focusing on the mode that built Madden. Now, I understand MUT is huge, but without franchise mode, there is no MUT. Without the franchise guys that have put their sweat, their blood, their tears into this game, without that mode, there is no MUT. And I love my MUT guys. I follow so many of those guys. I love what they do. They on a different level. But what do they have to do for the franchise guys to finally start showing that we're worried about you guys as well?
That's a tricky question. I'll answer it in two parts really quick. They're somewhat showing me that there's focus on franchise already with what they're introducing in 20. But to me, it's still it has to get back to basics. The roster management stuff. And that covers everything. Free agency, scouting, morale. I want to see that. I want to see chemistry, all of that type of stuff. Positional coaches, wow. All of that. To me, because let's be honest, not only did we have that in past Maddens, but all of the current sports games now have this stuff. Even MLB, they have these things. Just look. I mean, you just look at the pictures in MLB The Show and in NBA 2K, the morale and the guys happy, and even in 2K, I mean, you bring in the wrong player on your team as a mentor, and the team starts playing. That, for us guys, that's you said it a few moments ago. That type of immersion is what kept us involved with Madden. And we're having to create our own immersion now by having relationships with these 32 other guys. Like, we need to match that relationship that we have with the people we play with the same immersion in game. Off the field, that affects what happens on the field. That stuff has to be there.
Do we see offensive and defensive coordinators at some point in Madden?
What you think, Smitty?
Yeah, I think so. As far as this year is concerned, I don't think so.
It's not clear.
Right, exactly. Like, they haven't clarified. See, that's what I'm saying. They gave a Swiss cheese presentation. I think that was on purpose, though. But
absolutely.
Excuse me. I think so, and I mean, even from talking to Shop about it, one of the main thing that people talk about is that he talks to is coaching carousel and Owen defensive coordinators that they want in the game, like as the main thing they want in the franchise. So if they do that, I mean, if they did that, that would be awesome. Now, if they gave us exactly what was in NCAA and you got coaches with icons and badges and, you know what I mean, like their own attributes that make them stand out in their own right, oh man, you just blew the cover off. And see, if the gameplay is on tap, it's a wash, dude, in a good way. Yeah. So I would be very pleased if they did have it, but
I don't think this year though.
Yeah, I don't think
my gut feeling is telling me no, only because of some past conversations that I've had with franchise devs, like that really want that to come, which really wanted it to already be here.
Yeah,
we kind of know the timeline. Smitty can speak on that. So just looking at what they're doing, I'm anticipating this being all. Maybe we'll get more details.
Right.
As far as how this stuff works, but I wouldn't expect it. I hope they blow me away, but I think it's coming. I definitely think it's coming because it falls right in line with the stuff that they're trying to do.
Right.
If they stay focused on it. That's the key. Are the suits going to allow them to stay focused on franchise like Mike Young told us in that first stream? So we'll see.
And we get the suits on Xpert's Corner so we can talk to them guys and let them know how important it is. All right, man, can't thank you two enough taking time out of y'all's day to jump on Xpert's Corner. Two guys I respect so much in this community. Sim, let them know where they can find you at on YouTube. Y'all gotta watch the Sim Standard on most Thursdays as long as life is working and the pieces are in place. But just let them know where they can find you on YouTube and on Twitter so they can reach out to y'all.
Yeah, man, I keep it simple. It's the same name for everything. SIMFBALLCRITIC, SIMFBALLCRITIC on everything. Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I mean, it's the same name, so it's very easy to find.
Absolutely. Gotta go follow and support Sim and the podcast. And if you're a Steeler fan, you gotta watch his podcast on the Pittsburgh Steelers. As a Dallas Cowboy fan, I just pop in every once in a while because I want to see the turmoil that is happening in Pittsburgh, and Sim's opinion on it is a joy to watch. His passion for his football team and his honesty with it. He's not just a fanboy. He's going to give you the honest opinion of how he feels about his Pittsburgh Steelers. But Smitty, I don't know if the Detroit Lions are doing anything this year either, but go ahead and tell them where they can find you, Smitty, and follow you on all the social medias.
Yeah, I'm on on Twitter. It's Smitty D 1981. On YouTube it's different. It's a DTS 5381. And I did start up. I got to do some streams on it though. I've only done a few, but I do stream to Twitch as well. That's Smitty D81, and I've got a Facebook channel as well, Gaming with Smitty.
All right, guys, that's where you can find Smitty and Sim on the social media sites, where they stream at, where they do their podcast at. Make sure you guys go and follow them. Thank them for jumping on here as we get news about Madden 20. Don't forget, hit the follow button here on YouTube for the DML Network. I will be live at EA Play June 7th. I'm going to be talking to as many devs as I can talk to, game changers, MCS guys that are there. We're going to try and get as much info as possible. Don't forget, tune in May 23rd. EA Sports Twitch. They are going to have the gameplay update. You do not want to miss that. It's going to be huge for our community, and we need as much support as possible. The more voices we got letting EA know how important it is, maybe we can get some changes. But yeah, this has been Xpert's Corner. It's your boy Xpert, and we out.
Thank you for tuning into the DML Network. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button below.